All right, so we're going to start off with our demos again this week. Do we have a brave volunteer that would like to start us off?
I'll go.
Sweet. All right. You should be able to share your screen. So Pat, I will hand it off to you.
Can you see it?
Yes, we
Perfect.
can see it.
Okay, so this week we were assigned issue 4, which was to add a new item to our list and store it in the database. So in the app.jsx file, we changed line 56 and we added this list token prop to use the list token that the other our other partners changed or added, the random 3 words, to make the list individual or joinable in the future. In the Firebase.js, we added this add doc function or method from Firestore, which allows us to add a doc to the database. All we had to do is just change console log to await add doc. And then for the form itself, we imported useState and add item function from this Firebase.js file, and we set this in. Oh, and we also bring in the list token prop, and we have a form data object here, which is like the default state of it. The days until next purchase being 7 it's defaulted to like a soon. And then the item name is just an empty string. And then this set message state is for like a success or a fail message to appear. And then here we destructured the form data object to just item name and days until next purchase. We have this handle submit function here that will allow the user to use or to submit an item to the database by clicking the button in the form or using the enter key. It's a asynchronous function, so we put it in a try catch. If it's successful, we call this add item function with the list token that we passed in to this component, the item name, which is in the object, and the days until next purchase, which is also in our object state here. And then if it fails, we'll console log an error and we'll set the message, which is here, to item not added. And if it does work, then we'll say item added to the list. And then after that, the message will be will reset back to an empty string after 2 seconds here using this set timeout. And after this function runs, it will reset the item name to an empty string, so you can enter something else, but it will keep the days until next purchased. And then this handle change function will just any input that we have here will take the target.name and add the target.value. So it will update the state. And then we add a form here with the onSubmit of the handle submit function. We have labels for all of our inputs. Each input has an onChange function, a value, placeholder ID name. And then here for the radio buttons, we add a field set and a legend to the field set, I guess, is just for like accessibility feature, like for people who need who use screen readers, but each one of these just has a different value to them. And then the message is at the bottom of the form when a success message shows or a failed message shows. And then the button is just a type of submit.
Beautiful. And do you want to pass it off to Nuria then to demo for us? And then maybe we can, unless anyone has
Sure.
questions at this point, maybe we can hold off until we've seen the demo as well. Cool. Okay.
Hi guys. Hold on. Here, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Oops, no, I didn't mean to. Here is a live preview of our demo. Like Patrick said, we created the form. Here is how it looks like. Here we can add some item, for example, cat food, and how soon will I need to buy, kind of soon. It's defaulted to 14 days, like 2 weeks. Here is a add item, voila. And did you see the cat food was added? And we can check the list. Here is the cat food. Yeah, that's about it.
Beautiful. That it looks way simpler than it was.
Yes.
That was very complicated to set up. That was gorgeous. Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments about this feature? I had asked a question. I noticed in your code, it seems like very intentional that you all, when you're resetting the form, are clearing the item name, but retaining the days until next purchase. And I was wondering like about the reasoning for that. I think I can guess at the reasoning, like it makes sense to me, but I'm curious about like what the thought process was there.
I thought that if you just wanted to kind of rapid fire, then it would be easier to just, instead of having it default back to 7 days or whatever, if you just had a bunch of things that you wanted to add that were 30 days, like not soon, you could just leave it on not soon and enter all your not soon in a row.
Also, the mine was issue. We couldn't reset to default for some reason. When we tried to reset to assign back to 7 days, this button wouldn't go back to soon.
Yeah, I think I noticed originally there was a little bit of a mismatch between like the labels and the inputs, and so but y'all caught that and fixed it, and like very nice job also with the accessibility. Like you can see that you can click on either the input or the word and it should update the form, which is beautiful. I really liked the emphasis on accessibility that you all had here. You were talking about like that. The field set and everything. What did y'all, I noticed in your PR description that you talked a little bit about some of what Patrick was saying about field sets and everything. How did y'all come across that? Was it something you already were familiar with, or did you kind of have to trial and error or look into documentation? What was your process for finding that?
I saw it doing a React course, like a little project, and I think I saw it somewhere else. I think somewhere in the issue or something, maybe not, but yeah, I just had to look further into it.
Yeah, love it. Again, really, really happy to see all of you thinking about accessibility from the start, because that is the best way to develop. You don't want to just kind of like force it in after the fact, like really baking it in from the start is the way to go. So beautiful. Any other thoughts, questions, comments before we do our next pair? Okay, then let's hand it off to whichever person is going to be kicking us off with this demo.
Caitlin, you want to go ahead with the demo?
Sure, yeah, I can show the functionality first. All right, here we go. You can see my screen?
Yes.
Sweet. Okay. So this week we had to create a button that's going to generate that unique token so that you have the reusability of the list so that users can come back to the same list or share a list with someone else. So on the home page, we added the button. And now that I've seen the other team demo, I realized that we probably could have taken away this placeholder text as well. So I'm going to do that before we fully submit. But I've just opened up the storage because we're just storing the token in local storage right now. In the issue, it did have a suggestion where you could store it in Firebase. We just didn't have the time, but I would love to be able to do that too. So when you click on the button to generate the list, you'll see that the value will show up in your local storage, and it's just 3 random words. And we have now been redirected to the list page. So this is where you'll see the work that the other team did eventually. And it also is, if you've already created this code, then you'll get automatically redirected back to this list page as well. So you can just like automatically log in to the list that you have going in your local storage. Any questions?
No, that was a great demo. Yeah, thanks for showing us. That was well demonstrated to show us like that it's in local storage and we can see what's being created. Yeah, cool. All right, and Mira, you want to take us home? Oh, Mira, I'm not sure if you're talking, but you're muted.
Okay. This is our code. We had to install the Collab Lab shopping list.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mira. Yeah, we're just seeing your browser. Maybe if you unshare and then just make sure you're showing your whole desktop, that might be what you want to do.
Okay.
There we go.
See now?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. So for us to do the shopping list items, we had a dependencies that we had to install this npm package. So after we installed this npm package, as Caitlin said, we had to create a button and then navigate it. So to navigate to our list view, we had to change this router in the app.js so that it encompasses the app.js, and we had to put it in the index.js so we could use the use navigate. Once we had to declare the use navigate and import it here, and then we also had to import this generate token function from the shopping list package, and then we also had to, like, if we had to create a new list, we had to like update the list token to null to join a new list. And what we did was in the use effect, function, we changed it, like if there is already a token, so we need to navigate to this list, so we had to add this else clause here. And then while when we created the home, like when we had to press the home button, we had to like generate a new token. So we made a function called handle click. So when the user presses that button, we go, it takes us here, this handle click function is called, and then we generate the new token and we put it in the hook. And then after it's done, we navigate to the list. And yeah, I think, yeah, when we go to the home button, we did a button and where we got the props from the app, and then we called handle click. I think that's about it for our code.
Beautiful. Well done. Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
nice.
Any questions or comments on that one? Can y'all talk us through using the library to generate the token? Like, what was kind of the process like there? Was it confusing to figure out how to implement that, or pretty straightforward?
I think that it was pretty straightforward because they said we had a dependency that we needed to like use. So we figured out that was the npm package and we downloaded it. The the problem that we encountered, I wouldn't say a problem, but the thing that we overlooked was like when we created the button and then when we did the handle click, we had issues like nothing showing on the browser. So then we couldn't figure out when we were doing the code, and later on, like um, we thought about like doing independently and check what's going on before we could meet with George that day. So then I was looking at it. Then when I went to inspect, there was a message called, "Oh, router cannot be used in two places." So then I figured out, oh, we needed to change it. We needed to encompass even the app because it was not in there, and use navigate needed that router thing to be inside. The use navigate had to be inside the router, not outside of it. So then that was the main issue we encountered. Once that was done, everything showed up and we could see what we were doing.
Wonderful. Great problem solving there. Yeah, like figuring out where that can be kind of a challenging thing, is figuring out where to put something. You're like, I know this is right, but it's not working. Like, where does it go? Love it. Okay. Wonderful job, everyone.
Just a real quick, very quickly, did you get a chance to look at like the source code for that package that you downloaded?
No.
It's not required. You didn't have to. I'm not saying you should have done that. What I'm saying, I'm just asking the question because for me personally, like when I'm going through like a project like this, most of the time, I just do a control click so that I can actually see through what the source code looks like for the package. Because when you're importing like stuff, it's really easy to like import stuff into your project and just have it, magically do whatever it is that you want to do. But like a super important habit to develop is going in and reading through the source of what the actual library is doing. It's insanely important because it can be really good or really bad down the line, and it could introduce some weird code into your project. So, like I said, it's not something that's required, not something that you have to do. It's just probably a good habit to start to develop.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And this library is like correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a Collab Lab like developed library. So like you can be pretty sure that it's safe, but it's still good to like look into the code and like develop that habit, like George is saying.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now and it's actually super, it's very simple. It's not something crazy, but like, yeah.
Yeah, but go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. We did look at like the parameters that we needed and we decided we only needed one thing, but we didn't go through the whole code.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm not saying that you have to like spend tons of time doing that. Just like if you can, just very quickly go through it's a good habit to develop, to go through and understand exactly what anything that you're importing is doing.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
there's tons of stuff out there, and they do like really good, like the open source people that put these out here are awesome. They have some really good work out there. And it's really easy to kind of just import it and have it magically do whatever you want, but it's a lot more important to understand what it's doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. I never thought about in that way, because we were just like, we were taught like, oh, import this and do this, but never like look into it, or go through the code and see what it is doing, or understanding. Definitely, I'll start looking into it.
It's also good because like reading through like open source code is a really, really good way of being able to develop those like muscles to very quickly understand what code is doing. It's very, very helpful.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. And
the other thing I'll say about this package is that the documentation for it is so nice. Like, it was so lovely to read the documentation for it, which was good.
Yeah, this is a rare exception. Good documentation is very hard to find. Great code is easy to find. Good documentation is a lot harder.
yeah, so if y'all have time, like everyone, if you have time during the week, like I would encourage you as well, like +1 to what George said, to look into the code, and maybe even more so because it is quite simple. Like, it's a little less intimidating to try and figure out what's going on. Often, you might not understand everything that's happening in a library as you're starting out, but starting with something simpler is a great piece of advice. Okay, well done everyone on these issues. We are going to then, if there's no other questions or comments, we're going to move into our retro. Does anyone, I think George talked a little bit about what a retro is. Are you all familiar? Have you heard the idea of a retrospective before? Has anyone done a retro before? Show of hands? Sort of, yeah. What is y'all's understanding of what is a retro?
When I did it, it was like a kind of a review reflection on this like sprint. And so it was like one part, what were the like technical issues that came up, or technical issues to look for in the future that you think might come up because of what happened in the sprint. And then also one part, like the non-technical pieces that came up. So if there's any issues involving, well, I'm having earbud issues today, and my one earbud keeps falling out. So if there's any like non-technical,
We can't hear you now, but great start, Caitlin. That is exactly right.
Yeah,
We're
you
basically
pretty much nailed it.
Yeah. Great timing on the earbuds. Yeah, exactly. So often teams, development teams work in sprints, which is kind of just like often 2 weeks when you're trying to like reach a certain goal. And then at the end of that, a really important part of the process is reflection on like what went well, what didn't go well, what can we improve. And so we're going to be replicating that here at the Collab Lab. We're going to be doing every 2 weeks, we're going to do a retro. And so for this week, we have a board. Let me drop it in the chat. What we're going to do is I'm going to drop this link in the chat, and I'm going to set a timer for like 7 minutes for us to fill in our thoughts. I'll pause the recording so we don't have 7 minutes of us just like staring at our keyboards. And then when we come back, we will discuss what everyone said. So let me first pause the recording. Okay, so hopefully you all can see our retro board on my screen now. And so what we can do is just kind of run through each of these. I'll ask like whoever wrote it to, expand if necessary, or just read it out loud. And then if anyone has any thoughts, we can jump in. And if any action items come up from any of these, we'll just add them to the action items column there. All right, so starting with kudos, this was George. George, do you mind reading your comment?
Yeah, just a huge shout out to everybody on the team for very quickly getting up and running with the projects. That can be one of the hardest parts, is getting like your development environment set up and ready to go for new projects. So great job, y'all.
+1, love it. Let's see, this was me, I think. I just basically the same thing. Like, you guys have been very impressive, quite self-sufficient, but willing to ask for help when you need it, and just very, very impressed with you all and what you've been doing so far. Oh, and this is me as well. Also, super huge shout out to George for being just like very welcoming and creating a great environment for everyone, and having lots of great resources and ideas and advice for everyone. I think we've all been benefiting from his mentorship. And whose was this? This is Caitlin.
Yeah, that was mine. It was really nice to be able to go into office hours and just go through. We got a little stuck on our issue because the wording was a little vague and we weren't sure if we were doing too much. We weren't sure where the line was. It was a little blurry of like if we were doing too much or if there was more to be done. So it was nice to just have someone to just like go through and be like, no, you're good. Like, just leave it there.
Love it. Beautiful. All right, this is Pat.
Yeah, I think that we as a team can be pretty good at communicating, like when pull requests are up or if you need to review things, or maybe we could be a little better, but I think it's been pretty good.
I would agree. Yeah, there's always room for improvement on anything, but I've been very impressed as well. This was Nuria.
Yeah, I want to say like big thank you for mentor, for support. If you have a questions or issue, I know we always put a like message in a Slack or go to office hours and we'll get the support and solution. Thank you.
Love it. That's what we're here for. And this one is George.
Yeah, just a huge shout out to Caitlin for her very rapid and quick setup for admin items. Those are all small details that sometimes can get ignored and stuff gets unorganized. So she's been awesome setting that up.
Thanks. Okay. Round of applause for everyone. Pat yourselves on the back. You've been doing a beautiful job. Super excited for you. So we've done kudos. Now we're going to talk a little bit bigger picture about like what went well for these first 2 weeks. This was George again. George, do you want to read this one?
Sorry, I was trying to find my place.
You're good.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think it went really well that the teams very quickly got into getting all of their issues done very quickly and getting all their PRs in. That went really, really well. It's
Nice.
a lot of hustle. Enjoy
Yeah.
it.
And do you want to read the next one as well? That one's you too.
Yeah, I think those who needed help came forward and asked for help rather than spinning their wheels, which I always appreciate.
Yeah, I definitely +1 from me too. Like, that's one of the most important skills to develop, especially as an entry level dev, but it's important for anyone. If you need help, ask for it. All right, this was also George. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I thought the collaboration went pretty well. I was seeing people very quickly trying to coordinate and get set up for pairing and getting through all their issues. So I appreciated that.
Agreed. This was Nuria. Oh, you're muted, Nuria.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I will say like collaboration with my partners went well. We did a great job coordinating our time zones, and when if you have issues, we can always chat and discuss. Yeah, all good stuff.
Love it. Beautiful. This was Caitlin.
Yeah, even though the issues are like simple, it is still nice to just have someone else to like talk things through, especially when you're filling out like the documentation for the PR request and those kinds of things. It's nice to have someone else to do it.
Yeah, love it. And I mean, I wouldn't call anything that we're doing simple. Like we're building skills. So definitely like it is always helpful to have other people to talk to about it. Love it. All right, this is Pat.
It's been nice seeing like everybody, understand Git and know what to do with the GitHub pull requests and everything. I think it's pretty smooth. It's so far. At my internship, it might not be as smooth, but so it's kind of night and day difference with that. So that's nice.
Yeah, no Git disasters is a huge win. Love it. All right, this is Caitlin.
Oh yeah, this one is one of those things where like you don't notice it until it's not there. And I had a chat with someone who did this program like in one of the previous cohorts. And I kind of said like I can't remember the specific question I asked, but it was something to the effect of like, what's one thing that like you wish you could have like done better earlier? And they were like, oh my goodness, like it was such a disaster, total chaos. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, like, we have it so good. Like everything is so well organized. Like, you know exactly where to go to find things, you know exactly like how to like get access to what you need and to who you need. And I was like, so I feel like y'all are crushing it with the like organization of it.
Nice. Love to hear that. It's a testament to there's so many people behind the scenes too that are like setting up a lot of these automations like for the whole program. So glad to hear that that is going well. All right, and this one is Mira. Oh, still muted, Mira.
Sorry, I love the pair programming, and I also love that you can bounce off ideas and learn from others and see how they think differently.
Beautiful. Love it. Yeah, I'm glad you all are benefiting from the pair programming and talking to each other and everything like that, because that is what we're here for. All right, last column is just, based on the first 2 weeks, what can we kind of improve moving forward? How can we make this even better for everyone? I think this one is me. So just to note that demoing a good habit to get in the habit of is demoing on production instead of locally. It just kind of gives it even more polish of like, this is actually our app, like it is live and we know it's not just working. Sometimes things just work on my computer and not on someone else's computer. If it's on production, we know this is like how it is for everyone. So I'd encourage you, as you're prepping next week for demos, think about maybe trying to demo on production instead of locally. It's not bad to do it locally, but it just is even better to do it on production. I think this is Caitlin.
Oh yeah, one of the things was that when we went to find office hours, I was like looking in my calendar. I was like, I can't find it because I like these meetings show up in my calendar, and so then it was a bit of like a rabbit hole goose chase to try and find the like thread in Slack that had the link, etc. So I don't know if it's possible, but if it's possible, I would love like a calendar. And I think actually you did that for the one next week with you. So yeah, that just helps because then it's just like in my calendar ready to go. And if I need to like go, then I can just click to go.
Those messages are usually pinned in the Slack channel.
Okay.
However, this week Google Meets didn't let me easily create a calendar event, so I gave up. And Caitlin is more organized than I am, so that's why you have it this week and not last week. So that's on me.
It's fine. It's like a very nitpicky thing, but like.
No, you're 100% right. It's very, very helpful.
Yeah. But that is a good point. I don't know if we've ever emphasized mentioned to y'all about like pinned posts on Slack, but that is another place where like I was actually thinking maybe I'll put this as an action item for our pair threads. Maybe those should also be pinned just to make those easier to find for everyone. But yeah, I think like maybe leaning harder on the pinned items and then also like having calendar events when we have events come up would be helpful. So utilize.
I think that the pair threads, it's not a huge issue because you can click like just on the thread button on Slack and it will take you to the thread that you're in.
Oh, good point.
So like
yeah.
that's how I always access the like pair thread is just through the thread button.
Nice. Yeah. I'll still maybe pin them just if other people want to like peek in on what you're doing for the week. We want to make sure not to clog up the pinned things because then it defeats the purpose. But yeah, like weekly, just to make sure that, you know, however you use Slack, you can still find what you're looking for. But that's a great point, Caitlin. Let's see, this is from George.
Yeah, which one was that? Oh yeah. So this is just a note, it's not geared at anyone in particular. Just that I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but like GUI applications for Git are super helpful. And I mean, I use them because they're easy to use. But if you're, and I don't think this applies to anybody in this particular group, but if like you're not super comfortable using like the Git command line for all your stuff, or just don't like have tons and tons of experience using it, that's not a big deal. But like getting comfortable using it is going to be really, really important because those GUI applications are built off that same API, and the command line is going to be a lot more powerful and a lot easier to use to troubleshoot issues down the line. I don't know if you'll come across stuff like that for this project, but like for super annoying, complicated crap where you have to spend 4 hours fixing it, the command line is going to be the thing that you're probably going to use. So getting comfortable with it and really understanding it and using it for just about everything is probably going to be a lot more important than any of the GUI applications that are out there. Like I said, not geared towards anyone in particular, but if you haven't yet, definitely take the time to get comfortable using it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And like using the GUI might be helpful, especially as we're starting to like get the basics of just like the workflow of Git. But as you gain confidence in that, like then building off of that and getting command line, like comfortable with the command line, I would definitely agree. That's a helpful skill to have. Okay, let's see this. Oh, this is me. Yeah, I just a note that like the weekly cadence, I think this week people had lovely reasons for being very busy. But it did mean that like we didn't have as much time to kind of iterate on the PRs. So like just trying to like if you have time sometime over the weekend to get started and like try and get your PR up by like Tuesday or Wednesday so that we have time for like input from your other collabs and then input from mentors and then time to implement that. I think this week y'all still had time to like get your issues done, but you know, it's just a little bit like for peace of mind, just like trying to front load your week so that we have time if anything comes up later in the week. Yeah, just I think it'll be helpful in the future as things perhaps get, you know, if we run into issues and things like that. Okay, this is from Mira.
I didn't mean that it had to be Git practice. I was trying to write like, getting around the Git issues and writing the PRs and writing everything. I need more practice. So I will do it. It's not on you that what could be improved. Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. I think that I'm sure you're not the only one that feels still gaining confidence with Git. So like definitely if anyone has Git resources to share, you know, the Slack is great. Like if any of you collabs have come across things that are really helpful for learning. And yeah, I think that's another really helpful part of going through this program is just you have to practice Git in order to like get your issues done, but we'll definitely keep that in mind as we're moving forward. All right, and this is also Mira.
Yeah, I was like, as Caitlin was saying, the messages get lost, and I go through the messages and trying to find it's like a rabbit hole. So maybe like the Zoom links or something in a different channel, or as you said, maybe we can pin it to the channel so it's easier. I've been like trying to go through all those links and trying to go through the messages. So it's been really hard for me, especially when I'm on my phone. Sometimes I'm on my phone, so it's like it doesn't, my computer, I don't know why the Slack doesn't update well. So usually I'm on my phone, so it's really hard for me to see what messages where people send.
Yeah, that's really helpful feedback, Mira. I think another thing that would help with that, in addition to pinning posts, is just being super diligent about like threading conversations when possible, just so that like, you know, things are organized. So like if you're talking about this topic, like everything about this topic is in a thread. That also helps with like not notifying too many people, like just the people who it's relevant to will get notified. So let me make a note about that as well. So like, let's continue to be diligent about using Slack threads. Were there other, let's see, we're going to try and create calendar items for any events that we can. And we're going to try to front load our weeks to give time to iterate on PRs. Let's see, I think there were a couple things about learning Git. So maybe an action item is to, in addition to practicing Git, like maybe we can also just try and share Git resources that we found to be helpful with each other. Were there other action items that I am missing here? So we're going to try and with Slack, we're going to try and keep it as organized as we can with threads and pinned messages. Also on that, kind of in a similar vein, try and create calendar items if we add anything to our calendar. Trying to front load our weeks. Is there anything else that I'm missing? I think this is good. Like this is all basically like a lot of this is kind of just continue doing what we're doing and just try and continue to improve it. Like, right, we're already quite, our Slack is already doing great, but we can always improve it. And like we're doing a great job with working, but we just want to kind of like expedite it a little bit so that we have time to build off of it. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so any final questions before oh crap, it's already 56. I'm going to hand it off to George to do issues. I'm so sorry, George. All right, let me stop sharing.
No, you're good.
Yeah, and we're going to do our issues.
All right. So the issues this week are pretty, I don't know if they're simple, but the concepts are simple. Let me on the screen real quick. All right. Y'all can see my window, I assume. Cool. So issue number 5. So as a user, I want to join an existing shopping list so I can share a shopping list with another person. It's pretty simple. They're going to be using the tokens that are going to be saved to kind of join already existing shopping lists, so people can kind of look in and see them. The acceptance criteria, if a user doesn't already have a token, the home view shows a form that allows the user to enter a token to join an existing list, in addition to the button that allows them to create a new list. The input that accepts the list token has a semantic label element associated with its, I don't know. The user can submit this form with both the mouse and the enter key. If the list exists, the token is saved in the local storage. Users redirected to the list view and shown the items on said list. If the list does not exist, the user is shown an error message that explains the problem. If a user does already have a token, they are automatically redirected to the list view. And yeah, that's it. Some notes down here with a couple of links that you can check out. Does anybody feel particularly strong to jump into this one? Nobody? No? Okay. I'll randomly assign that afterwards. And the next one is, as a user, I want to filter my shopping list to make it easier to locate an item in the list. So we're allowing the users to basically search their list to see if something is there. So a form is added to the top of the list view above the shopping lists. The form includes the following elements: a text field with a semantic label, which narrows down the list as the user types. When there's text in the field, some kind of button, e.g. an X, to clear the field. When the field is cleared, the list is reset to its unfiltered state. So wireframe for that should look like this here. And I skipped the wireframe over here, but was there one here? Nope. Okay. Cool.
I think
All
if
right.
anyone wants to know what the wireframe for that issue is, it's in the issue that we did this week, issue 3.
Is it
There's
really?
a link to the wireframe with the full, yeah,
Ah, there it is.
which was also part of our like confusion because we got this wireframe, but the issue was like clearly a lot smaller, and we were like, oh.
That's fine. I could probably alter that. I think we have the ability to do that. I'm not sure. I'll double check. Okay, cool. So if there is no one that feels particularly strong about jumping into any of these, I'll assign them out.
Could
Go ahead.
I do issue 6?
Issue 6. Okay. You're gonna be with Mira this week. So Patrick and Mira can do issue 6, and Caitlin and Nuria can do issue 5. Is we good? That good? Okay. Cool. So I will assign those out, and you should see threads show up in Slack with your stuff. So are there any questions, comments, anything that jumped out to you that you want to go over? Okay, cool. I think we're good with issues this week.
Thanks, George. Sorry for running over again today.
No,
Thank
you're
you
good.
for quickly running through that. Just a reminder that I will be doing office hours this Monday, I believe. You should have gotten a calendar event, but if not, let me know. I can forward it to you. And yeah, good luck with your issues this week. As always, let George or I know. Volha will also be back this week, and she'll be joining our retro again next week. So we'll all be on Slack, on GitHub, if you have anything you need from us. All right, everyone. Thanks very much. Happy Saturday. I forgot what day it was. Happy Saturday. Bye, everyone. Have a good
Thanks
weekend.
so much. Have
Thanks,
a good
y'all.
weekend.